So I think you're in the right place. So today we're going to be talking about personalization. So with that, it's 4:15. We're going to get started. Let me introduce myself. My name is John Meck. I am the VP of Marketing at Bounteous. A couple of things about me. I love puzzles. I like making puzzles. I love all things digital. I was talking with a coworker today who said he was into woodworking. That is the farthest from my capabilities. I am a digital guy. I love computers. A couple of the numbered puzzles that I've made. Tell you a little bit about Bounteous. If you haven't heard of us, we create big picture digital solutions, helping leading organizations deliver transformational brand experiences. When people ask, how do we do that? It's by ensuring the smooth flow of data, insights, and interactions across the entire brand experience. So we've got great cross-functional teams that combine tech, talent, data, and processes to really create wonderful results. Today we're here about personalization. So everyone's talking about personalization. You've seen headlines, you've seen other presentations, probably at DrupalCon. Personalization is such that big buzzword that keeps hanging over our heads. The thing is, most of us do some form of personalization already when we build our websites. If you think about responsive design, things like that. It's not as big and scary as it sounds, and we all need to be thinking about how we might be planning for personalization. I'm guessing some of us have already started, so if you have, feel free to let me know that in the chat. But this is thinking about what are the things we can do to plan for it, to get ready for it, and to make sure that it goes smoothly in our companies. So I'm not going to tell you today you have to go out and start personalization. What I am telling you, though, is that we can start thinking about personalization. We can design and build our websites thoughtfully, and we can say, what are the experiences that we could deliver better if we had some sort of personalization strategy, or if we knew more about the visitors on our website. So 10 tips. We've only got a little bit of time, so we're going to fly through this. And I added the slides in the chat. I'll do that again at the end. First thing is that personalization can start small, and it can scale with increased investment in time and tech. A lot of people think that personalization might be something you can just buy. And if you've ever bought any sort of enterprise software, sales software, CRM software, personalization software, you know that it's not just about getting the right tool. It's about spending the time to create the processes and create the teams to make it work well. When we talk about personalization, we would say that personalization is great for everyone. We all want to deliver a better experience. And when we use personalization, that should be our goal. But to improve the experience for everyone that comes to our website. Well, what I have here is a list of personalization types of websites where personalization is easier to measure and easier to sort of celebrate the success. So sites that get lots of traffic, sites where we're already creating lots of content. These are the ones that get me excited when we start talking about personalization. E-commerce websites are right for personalization. Sites that are spending money on marketing. You're trying to drive people to your website. That means we know something about them, and we can probably change that experience once they get there. And any site that gets a lot of repeat visitors, that's just a very short list of people that we're hoping are thinking about personalization. There's a lot of different kinds of personalization. You've probably heard some of these terms before. We can be predictive, where we're using AI to try to decide what the best experience might be. We can also be rule-based, where we can just say people in Oregon, for instance, get a different experience than someone in Texas. In the same way, when we're thinking about the group of people that we're targeting, we can use segments to say group people based off of some sort of behavior, or we can get hyper-personalized down to the individual level. So saying hi to John or Stella or someone like that, changing that experience at the person level. What I'd like to encourage everyone to think about those, start small and think about scale. You can start personalization with just one segment, and at the very end, I'll give you a couple tips about which ones I think are the best. Tip number 2, design today for personalization tomorrow. So again, when we're building our first website, or we're building that new website, or we're making those big changes, we're often in the mode where we have to launch the site. And we're talking about phase 1 or MVP or MLP, most loved product, right? So, but what we want to add on top of that is the idea that there might be personalization at some point. This is the question I like to ask. If you knew everything about an individual that's on your website, how would you change that experience? There's a couple different things we can do. We can hide all of the wrong information. We often have this challenge where we're trying to fit a lot of different things on our site to make sure that we catch at least someone's eye. We got at least part of it right, so that they're going to click into the right thing, or they're going to find the right path. If I knew everything about you and you were on my website, I would make sure that you only saw the perfect piece of information. Or I would make a recommendation that I know is perfect for you because of something that I know about you. I would incorporate any sort of preferences that you've given me, whether explicitly or something that I've determined. I would incorporate that into the experience to make sure you're not getting ads or things that you don't care about. Show better relevant information, simplify that experience and say, well, of course they're already a registered user. I don't need to show them a registered button anymore. They really care about that login button. And then send the best right now message. Right? All of those things can happen if we have perfect information. But that doesn't mean we can't do that at the very beginning, or we can't plan for that. We can start to think about how we might show a promotion, how we might hide information, how we might add information, or how we might deliver extra messages. So when someone logs in, pop-ups, flyouts, scrolling banners, things like that. We can be thinking about this and we can design those knowing that at some point we can come back and add better information to that and better content. We can do this with modular design. So we love modular design. If we embrace the flexible principles around things like atomic design, we can start thinking, will this page look right if I hid that box? If I knew that that was not the right piece of information and I had enough to go off of and I hid that, does the page still work? Can I take this page of related content and move it over here because I think that person's going to be interested in seeing that? So we can be starting to think about how the pieces that we build for our website might be turned on or off or moved or tweaked in the personalization process. So we love atomic design, and it just gives us the guidelines that we need to have reusable modules that we can move all around the place. They should be self-contained, so I can pick it up, drop it somewhere else, and as much as possible, we want to allow them to be customizable. And I'll get to that in a couple. Here's my favorite: make it dumb first, and then make it better. And I think this is a great life lesson. We've all had one of those projects that you're thinking, I could automate this, or it should be automated, or there should be a software to do that first. Same thing with personalization. We have to try to do it first manually to show that it could be successful or that it's possible. And then we can come back later and say, well, how can we make this smarter? How can we make this easier? Or you can think about something like a welcome message, right? I could start with welcome human. That's a very simple thing that I could do. When I create the website, I can just write welcome human, and I know I'm going to be 100% correct. Thinking about what we might find out about a user from their technology, we might be able to update that to say desktop user, Chicago, Oregon, Spain. We might be able to say whether or not it's a customer or a new visitor. We might know how they got to the website, some sort of marketing channel like email. Or I might know based off of your behavior that you're really interested in Drupal or a specific type of content on my site. Right? So by starting with that very basic welcome human, I am giving myself the ability to improve upon that as my technology stack changes or as my processes change. And I learn more about my visitors, and I have the ability to act on that information. So make it dumb and then make it better. A great way to think about this would be things that we can add on top of a website. So messages, greetings, updates, message box, status bars. Anytime you log into a site, even like Drupal.org, there's a big message box across there right now. Right, so these are great places for us to start. Recommendations, I love thinking about recommendations. Here's just some quick examples of breaking news strip at the top, an overlay, or some sort of embedded content. So we think about the recommendations box in the bottom right corner. I can easily look at my accounting data and say which products are selling best, and I could recommend that to a person. That might be wrong. That might be, they may have already purchased it. They may have not be interested in that particular topic or that particular item, but that's still better than nothing. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a placeholder there and then saying I can come back later and make that smarter and make that more educated. So it's a very first step just to say, let's start by making something dumb. Let's recommend our blog posts just by hand. And then let's think about how we might use data to improve that or someone's experience or preferences to change that later. Build it better the first time. So I spent a lot of time talking to the Drupal team as we build websites together. And again, like let's assume that while we don't know everything about everyone, we might learn some things about some people. We're never going to know everything about everyone, but we might learn some things about some people. So how does that change? How does that change the way we build a website? What this starts to get to is who are we going to call whenever we want to make a change to the website or we want to add some personalization? Can we customize an existing module? I hope we can do that without the dev team. Can we tweak things? Can we move things or change the colors or the layouts? As much as we can, we want to think about what we build as what the options could be for a little bit further down the road. So I built it this way, but I built in lots of options that someone might use in the future. Again, even if we don't have the tools in place today to personalize that or tweak that, we're saying we know that we might come back later and change that. And we want to do all we can to put that in the hands of the people that are doing personalization. I love this example. You've probably seen these photos, the guy that takes pictures and then he rearranges them to make them really organized. It's fun when you go in reverse. This is what happens when our dev team builds a website. It's atomically designed, it's really organized. And the marketing team gets it and we just make it into a salad. That's okay. That's okay when you build it with the right guidelines and the right controls to say, these are the things you're allowed to change and these are the areas that I've given you to customize. We need to think about who has control, and often with personalization, I love to have that conversation internally. Is it the dev team? Is it the marketing team? Is it the design team? It's all of it. We need to figure out who is in charge of the what, the when, the where, and the why. Often that's going to be the marketing team. You have to build your band, you have to build your troupe of superheroes. It's not just going to be one team or one person running it. So you need to think about who is going to be the one that's going to dictate what goes first, the priority. Hopefully you can implement some sort of framework or a way to rate them against each other. But you need to be thinking about how a marketing person might get in there and start adding campaigns or changes to your website. It doesn't require us to go back through the dev cycle, down through the different environments and back up. We need to be able to move quickly and make changes at a fast and flexible cadence. That doesn't mean we're never going to call the dev team, but again, knowing what things we can do on our own and what things we need to call the dev team is really important. Let's follow best practices as we build our websites. So I love talking about this. When I talk to a developer and I say, well, I need some IDs, I need some class names, I'm going to be using different tools to select a DOM element and change it. This is why. So if our IDs are unique, our class names are human readable, it's really going to help us. We can make our websites work with other tools. So things like a data layer, we can expose information about our user, our session, and our page. We can do that at the very beginning, not even knowing what we might use that for. We know tools like Google Tag Manager, Google Optimize, Acquia Lift, those will pull information from the site. So making that available at the very beginning is super helpful. We can start to think about the unique challenges that personalization will have, like the Flickr challenge or how we're going to QA specific campaigns. Tagging content. I love talking about tagging content. This is like my mom telling me I should, every time I take off a pair of socks, I should throw them in the laundry hamper. I don't know if you had a parent growing up that told you that. You don't want to wait until the room's a total mess because it takes a whole lot of time to go back and clean it up. It's the same thing with creating content. You can start to build out what things are important as you're writing that content. So what do you know about the pages or the content? What taxonomy can we use? I would stress to overuse tagging as you create the content. It's so much easier to do it while you're creating it rather than going back and adding it later. So things like themes or products, right? If we're writing blog posts and we want to say this is a topic or a theme, these are products that are mentioned, this is the audience that it's written for. These ones are usually left off of content tagging. Right? This is for the C-suite, this is for the marketers, this is for the developers. Or maybe we've developed internal personas and we're going to map that across our company. Even what type of page people are on. This is really helpful when we start to think about content scoring and say, well, the people that came to my website and looked at my services are possibly more valuable than those that came to look at blog posts. Right? So content scoring is a great way to assign a value to a page based off of the type of page they're looking at. I love measurement. This is analytics is a passion of mine as well. So when we start to think about what should I personalize or how big is my audience, did it work? Google Analytics will be your friend. And as we wrap up this very quick lightning talk, just remember to start small, but start soon. I would argue fix your problems first, right? We can use analytics, qualitative research, user studies, and figure out what's wrong. And we can try to fix that with personalization or A/B testing. Follow the money. If you're running marketing campaigns, that's the perfect place to start a personalization campaign. So if I'm spending money to bring someone in from ads, I want to make sure that their experience is the best possible experience. Tweaking it based off of what campaign they're coming in from. Email campaigns, ad campaigns are all great. In the end, we love tools like Google Optimize, quick and easy and free. But if you're really going to get into long-term content and personalization, Lyft is a great choice as well, or part of the marketing cloud with the new role. And with that, design, build, and architect thoughtfully, and you will be ready for personalization. So thank you for coming to our very fast lightning talk. That's all we've got. We've got 10 quick and easy tips for personalization and plenty of time to talk on the chat. So thank you all, everyone from Spain, Ireland, all over the US. And like I said, I'm going to stick around and answer questions. Let me paste in the slides once more. The main takeaway for a lot of this is to get our teams together and working together. The sooner we can start working across the whole company and thinking about this, the easier it's going to be when we do make a decision to add on a tool to help us with that. You're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I feel like this is the part where they play music and ask everyone to move to the next conference room. The next session will be starting in 10 minutes. Again, if you've got any questions, happy to talk about personalization, Drupal, Google, marketing, juggling, puzzles. Also, feel free to just message me or connect with me. Oh yes, please don't forget to take the survey. It's right at the top. SurveyMonkey, DC Global 20X.